Okay, guys, good evening, everyone. Just for your information, we are live on Facebook, and I'm recording it also for future purpose. So I want to use this opportunity to welcome everyone who is joining us today. And it's a pleasure to have you around. So my name is Johnson Mwala, for those that doesn't know me. Today we'll be discussing an interesting topic. It's interesting in the sense that many people might have passed the NEBOSH exam and you might not need the information, but for reference sake, you might need it to guide someone else, or someone in future might come to you to put him through on how to go about NEBOSH open book exam. So the information you will get today will be very useful and helpful as well. So I will share my screen and we'll proceed with the discussion. Okay, like you already know, NEBOSH IG examination is now open book, which means it's written online. So it takes 24 hours to complete the examination, and it happens once every month. Once every month, most times at the first week of the month. So maybe first Wednesday of the month, sometimes second Wednesday of the month. So this is the newest pattern. And because of the pattern of the examination is new and is strange to some candidates, so there is a lot of failing rates. A lot of people are failing and some people are passing as well. So it boils down to lack of information and lack of implementing or using the right strategies in answering the questions. So in this regard, in today's workshop, we'll be discussing the strategies that you can implement to pass very well. There are basic things that are required from you, but if you don't give them those things, you are likely not to pass it. Okay, so the first thing we'll talk about is, what do you mean by strategies? Strategy simply means the effort, where you focus your efforts. There are a lot of things to do. There are a lot of things that you want to do to prepare for this exam, but you have to focus your effort on the right thing. If you don't do the right thing and you don't give the right answer, then you might not get it right. Okay, so they are simply the specific plans of actions that you need to take. If you are preparing for this NEBOSH open book exam, you have to strategically plan. You have to plan strategically. Okay, now what are the things that you need to do? First, you have to set your environment right. After you have studied, you have done revision, you have passed through the training, the NEBOSH approved tutor has trained you on what to do on all the modules of NEBOSH IG examination. You have passed through this training and you are now set for the exam. So the first thing to do is to set your environment. Now you know that the exam takes 24 hours to complete. So from the time you downloaded your question, or from the time that the portal got opened and you are notified to download your question, from that time until the next 24 hours, you have to write your exam. So you need to be in a conducive environment. So you do everything possible to set your environment right. The next thing you have to do is ensure that you have adequate supply of electricity. Don't get locked out on the way. For instance, if you are living in an area where the power supply is not steady, you need to get a generator or do anything possible to ensure that you don't run out of power supply. Okay, avoid emergencies, plan yourself, schedule all your appointments away from this time so that you will be relaxed. You'll be able to focus on the examination. Okay, then the last but not the least is you must attend the closing interview. After the examination has been concluded, NEBOSH has to verify that you were the one that sat for the exam. So that is why they have this procedure of conducting a closing interview. So they will give you, your center will give you a date. They will call you on a video call, or in some situations you will visit the center and you will attend the closing interview. The closing interview simply consists of questions from what you have answered. They will ask you questions from the answers you gave. The person conducting the closing interview will have access to your answer sheet. You will be looking at whatever you have written during the examination, and they will ask you questions based on that. So you have to prove that you wrote those answers yourself. You have to be able to give them the required answers based on what you have written. So if you provide answers, what you are answering is outside what you have written in your answer sheet, so it is assumed that someone wrote it for you, that you cannot defend it. So this is very, very important. It's important that before you go for your closing interview, sometimes the closing interview might happen days after the exam, maybe 2 days, maybe 1 week. So you must have to revise, take time to revise the answer you have given in each of the questions, so that when you are asked question, you will say nearly exact. Even if it's not the exact words you have used, you can say what you have written down, so that the examiner will confirm that you wrote the examination yourself. It's very, very important. If not, they will mark you as you have copied, or maybe somebody wrote for you, or NEBOSH requires them to report you to the authority for further action. Okay, now for your revision, ensure that you use NEBOSH approved textbook. Don't just pick any textbook from anywhere to read. Make sure you use approved textbook and materials. Okay, ensure that you go through the topics one after the other. Understand the topics, familiarize, and preview previous questions. Ask your instructor, ask your tutor to give you samples of previous questions, so that familiarize yourself with how the questions are asked. Don't just go into the exam hall with blank knowledge of how the question comes in. Even if you have all the information in the textbook, for you to pass strategically, you need to go through the previous questions. Read like 2 to 3 months back. Go through them, answer them, and familiarize yourself with them. Okay? It's very, very important. In setting your environment, we talk about ergonomically designed equipment. If you are going to sit for more than 10 hours or for more than 5 hours writing your examination, so you should have everything set properly. You should have a proper desk, should have a proper table, should not be bending too much to avoid adding extra stress to yourself. Okay, now in answering the questions proper, when you are now in the exam hall or when the exam have started, remember nobody is monitoring you. Your camera is not on, so you are all by yourself. You have the opportunity to browse the internet, find answers, but you are not allowed to copy. If you copy and paste, the system will detect it that you have pragmatized and you will be penalized. So you can browse, find similar answers, put them in your own words, and ensure that whatever you are writing is in line with the scenario. Okay. The NEBOSH open book exam starts with a scenario. There will be a scenario given to you, just like your in English language, your summary or your, what else do you call it? They give you paragraphs to read and answer questions based on those scenarios. So this is how the open book exam starts. So when you get this scenario, you have to take your time to read it. Read it as many times as possible, at a minimum of 2 times. Then after reading the scenario, go to the question. Read the question over and over again. As you are reading the question, you try to go back to the scenario to find out where you can see those answers. Okay. Now it's a good practice to print out your scenario so that you won't be closing tabs and opening tabs in your computer. If you have access to printer, you can print out the scenario and hold it so that you'll be able to, you can circle, you can underline wherever you think the answer is, and you'll be able to transfer it to your answer sheet. Okay, so familiarize yourself with terminologies in that scenario. What it simply means is that in the scenario, there will be name of a company. There will be name given to the management representative, maybe general manager or warehouse manager. There will be name given to them. There will be name given to the workers, maybe supervisor, maybe engineer, maybe shift manager. So familiarize yourself with these names and these terminologies in the scenario, because you will be referring to them. Don't give your answer just plain without making reference to the scenario. So what it means is that if in the question you are answering any question that makes reference to anybody in that scenario, you are allowed to call the name. Don't bring up another name. If the scenario has said it's general manager, don't give him another name like a technical manager or general director. No, maintain the terminologies, the names already in the scenario. Okay, that is very, very important. Now you have to be mindful of the words. You should use the key words, key health and safety words and terminologies. Don't change the health and safety terminologies to plain English words. For example, if the word is hazard, if health and safety word is hazard, don't change it to mishap, because some people, they will use websites that changes that helps you to change grammatical structures of any sentence, and you will not be caught that you have fragmented. But what those websites will do is they will change the terminologies, which will put you into trouble. For example, in English language, hazard might be the same as mishap. But if you are writing health and safety exam, you should stick to health and safety terminologies. It's very, very important so that you will not put yourself in trouble. because the examiner, when marking your answer, will look for those words provided by a health and safety expert. And if it's not found, he will not assume that you are writing something else. So he's looking for the exact words from the scenario or from health and safety terminologies. Don't change the words or change them to your own meaning. Okay. Then another thing you need to do as a strategy to pass very well is focus on your strengths, the questions you feel you understand very well, or the questions you feel that you know a lot of points to give. Focus on them. Focus in giving as many points as possible from those questions. Okay? Because you will not be compensated. There is nothing like you have written a lot of number of words, so you will be given more marks. No, you will be given marks based on the valid points you have provided, and you will be given marks also based on the allocated mark for each question. So what you have to do is, before you answer any question, you look at by the side, it's written how many marks, some 10 marks, some 17 marks, some 20 marks. So look at that number of marks allocated to that question and ensure that you provide valid points that is more than that allocated marks. If a particular question has 10 marks allocated to it, NEBOSH is expecting you to write at least 10 valid points. Now, I would recommend that you write more than 10. Write at least 13 or 14 points. This will help you to ensure that you will not miss any mark. The examiner will mark the first correct 10 points and give you your total mark. You will not miss any mark. But if you just write only 10 and you miss any of them, then you have lost 1 mark. Okay, so write more than the required points. They will not penalize you for writing more or for writing extra. Okay, then the next thing that you need to be aware is put your answers in paragraphs. You can either use bullet points, or you can use paragraphs to separate your points, or you can use numbers to separate your points. What it simply means is that don't concentrate in writing your answers like essay. The examiner will find it difficult to pick out your valid points. And if the examiner misses any point within those clustered essays, you will lose mark. So in order to be to ensure that you don't miss any mark and you don't give room for any error, separate your answers in paragraphs or in bullet points so that you will be able to count how many points you have given. If it's 10 marks, you'll be able to know when you have written 10 points or more than 10 points. So you are sure that you are sufficient for that question, that you have given enough points that will earn you your total mark. This is very, very important. Okay. Then the next thing you have to ensure is that spend approximately 1 hour for each question. Don't stay more than 1 hour in each question, because even though you are writing the exam for 24 hours, it doesn't mean that you will not sleep. You might get tired. You have to move around and come back also. So it's like approximately 1 hour is allocated to each question. So ensure that you time yourself. Don't waste time in one particular question, and when it gets to other questions, you are left with less time and you are rushing. It's very, very important. Okay, NEBOSH has asked you to write a maximum of 3,000 words. and 3,000 words, it does not mean that they will penalize you for writing less. So what it means is that 3,000 words is enough to contain all the points you want to write in all the questions. Sometimes the questions might be 8, sometimes it might be 7, and some of them will have A, B, and C. Some of them will have only A, B. So in all these questions you are supposed to write, 3,000 words is enough. So it has been verified, it has been proven, it has been tracked for a long time. So if you are at the end of the day, you wrote 5,000 words, you will begin to wonder what exactly you have written. Maybe you have written more than what is required, and you are not going to get, nobody will give you 200 marks over 100. So 3,000 words is enough so that you have all the required points. Okay, then the next thing you must do is you maintain good font style and font size. Use good font size. Don't bring in your decorative font styles. It's not going to help you in any way. Just use your normal Times New numeral or Arial or Calibri, just your normal font style. Don't start decorating your font styles, formatting it, making it look beautiful. It's not going to add any mark to you. Okay? And don't make it too bold, too changing colors. You color this one red, you color this one blue, color this one black. There's no need for that. Ensure that you use your normal good font style. Use between 11 and 12 font size. Then another thing you must try to avoid is to use AI tools like ChatGPT. Avoid it with all your might, because it's going to deceive you. You will end up thinking that you have written very well, but you have removed all the valid points you are supposed to make. For instance, if you copy any of the answers from the scenario and you take it to ChatGPT to change the structure for you, they will change the words, give you different words, different grammars, and at the end of the day, it will not look exactly like what the examiner wants. So there are some keywords that the examiner is looking for. When you go to ChatGPT or any of the AI, and they will change it to different words, so the examiner will not find it and you will fail. You will not get the mark. So it's very, very important that you avoid it. I've said it before, do not copy and paste directly from whatever you have searched from the internet, because NEBOSH has a very strong pragmatism check tool that whenever you submit your answer sheet, you have to agree that the pragmatism check tool of NEBOSH will go through your documents. So while going through your document, they'll check all around internet to check if you have copied from any internet source. And there are percentages to each of the copy. So if you have copied more than the tolerance, then your result will not be released. You'll be contacted for pragmatism and your results will be withheld. They will even go as far as giving you a ban. Some people have been given 2 years ban. Some people have been given 3 years ban for copying and for writing directly from whatever they have copied from internet, or for copying from each other. Now, do not copy from any of your friends or any of your classmates or your colleagues that is writing the same exam with you. Do not copy from anyone, because the pragmatism check tool will detect it and both of you will be penalized. both of you will be penalized. Do not copy from anyone. Okay. Now, another very important thing is submit your work on time. Don't wait for the last minute. Because of last minute rush, it has been witnessed most times that the website will face a lot of traffic and it could hinder you from submitting. So don't wait until the last 2 minutes or the last 3 minutes to submit. So try to conclude your work on time and submit before the rush minutes. During your examination, it's good you take a short break, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes breaks. You stretch yourself, eat healthy food, exercise a bit, and remain healthy while the exam is going on. Okay, now we have thought about your environment while waiting for the exam. Ensure that you have everything you need for that exam to avoid going out at the middle of the exam. Okay, now ensure that you have access to your email before you start the exam, because the instructions that you need to log into your platform is available in your email. Ensure that you have rectified whatever issues or glitches you are having with your access to your email. Okay, now ensure that you have adequate power supply to do that. Now I've thought about closing interview. In your closing interview, ensure that you participate. If you fail to attend the closing interview, don't think that you are being smart, that by failing, by avoiding to attend, they will not catch you or they will not detect if you wrote the exam or not. So do not fail to attend the closing interview. If you do not attend, it's assumed that you are absent and your paper will not be marked. Okay. Now, keep time with the examiner who is interviewing you. Be there on time and be relaxed. Now, it's no more allowed for you to sit anywhere for closing interview, like sitting in your car or while walking on the road. The interview will not be accepted. It will be canceled. It will not be. It will not meet the criteria. So you are supposed to sit in a quiet place. You are supposed to sit alone without any interference. If the examiner hears a background, a noise on the background, or somebody whispering to you, or somebody giving you the answer while the closing interview is going on, you will be penalized also. The interview will be canceled and he will report you to NEBOSH. So you will be all by yourself during the closing interview, no external help. You will not have book with you, to have any of the books with you to look for answers. So you'll be answering all on your head. The examiner will require your identity cards. He will need to verify that your name, your date of birth, and your personal details are correct and they are matching with what you have registered with NEBOSH. So ensure that you attend that closing interview to avoid being marked absent. And you have to answer very well. Answer whatever you have written. And from what you have written, you will be asked questions. They will not ask you any question outside what you have written or outside what is that exam paper. So don't go and start reading something else or maybe other questions that were not in that examination. No, the examiner will ask you strictly questions on that particular examination. If, for instance, the examination, what came out was financial reasons for managing health and safety, the examiner will not leave it to start asking you legal reasons for managing health and safety. they will be strictly confined to that, the question you have answered. So while revising for the interview, don't go outside what was asked in the examination. That is very important. You need to take note of that. Okay, so I've run through my slides. I'll stop sharing so that others will be able to contribute. Sandra, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Justin, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, that's a wonderful presentation and well detailed. Well, I hope we all learn one or two things. I was expecting the participation to be much more better like this. I want to encourage us to at least tell our friends about this learning avenue, especially for those of us who are anticipating or enroll for this subject. Is a free and a giveaway platform for you to learn, and trust me, for all the moderator have said regarding this exam is what we really need to pass this exam. Just as he has highlighted, it's not a rocket science. It's a thin line between fail and pass when you don't follow the simple instructions. It's very thin line to fail this NEBOSH open book, because some people say look at it that because it is open book, it's easy to pass. I can conduct all the materials online and all that, but trust me, if you don't follow the structure, because it's a scenario-based pattern, and you have to stick to that pattern. Anything outside the pattern, you are just wasting time. So I believe it is well detailed. The slide was well detailed, and if, for instance, you want to ask if we have a scenario that is talking about health and safety management relating to, let me just give for example, relating to which example will I cite now? Okay, and you already know that, okay, we have an example that talks about health and safety management, but the scenario is not specifically relating to what you have read generally. It's better you stick to what the scenario is saying instead of importing foreign words from other material, HSC materials. So I think that is one of the points he has stressed. And you keep it brief to the point. Don't write too much words. The point structure is very important. I believe we keep to that, the exam will be like very easy for you to pass. But if you don't keep to the structure, it's very easy for you to fail. That's a take from me. Thank you. Over to you, Stephen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andrew. That was a very powerful contribution. So it's a very straightforward topic, and I believe the people out there, if you have not sat for the open book exam, when you sit for the exam, you will believe that whatever I've told you, if you follow it, you will pass with ease. and you will not fall into any
Sure.
you will not fall into any trouble if you follow these guidelines. But if you just do anyhow, it's very, very easy to get a ban. To get 2 years, 3 years ban is very, very easy. Very, very easy. If you copy like 2 questions from the internet, if you copy like 2 questions from the internet, you are getting like 30% plagiarism, and that is you are putting yourself in a serious problem. So after registering the exam, going for the classes, sitting for the exam, then they ban you for 2 years. Then it's a very difficult thing to swallow. So you have to ensure that you stick to the rules. Stick to the rules. The answers are there. The answer, believe you me, the answers are there in that scenario. Take your time and look for it. Even if the answers are not there exactly, write what you know in your head and refer it to the scenario. Whatever you have written as said in the scenario or as illustrated in the scenario, the manager refused to give off to the workers, or the manager did not provide adequate training. Just exactly as is written in the scenario, follow that sequence to answer your questions. You will pass. You will pass easier than whatever you think you are going to copy in the internet. What you are going to copy in the internet is the person is not writing that exam with you. Maybe he has written an article before, which is not exactly as that scenario. I've seen a situation whereby people copy another company's name. Maybe in that scenario for the month, it's a tab, and somebody have written essay before on the internet with another company name, and you copy it like that and put it in your sheet. It's direct. You are going to lose not just the mark, but they will penalize you for copying, for pragmatism. Okay, I'll give the floor open for questions and then or comments.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Okay, my name is Francis. Thank you for the presentation. Just as you said from the beginning, no knowledge is waste. You can remember vividly at the moment, even most of the certification, even on the level 6, most of them are open exam. Even some of them, they are not hourly time frame. Like I know MVQ, we give you up to, some we give you 1 year, some we give you 2 years. But the skills of what you just presented now can as well help everyone who is going for an open book exam or any vocational qualification process. Because sometimes you tend to want to beautify your write-up, going above or rather below the requirement, but you would think you are doing the right thing, but that is not what the examiner or rather the board required. They just actually need you giving them the point to point for you to get your pass mark, not trying to give a grammar or as the case may be. I know when we wrote NEBOSH 2012, they don't even mark English. They don't mark your grammatic expression or as the case. Just give them what somebody can read and understand. So it is good we all learn. These days, a lot of persons have this open book NEBOSH where they can't even defend it. I never knew there is an interview. I know now that there is an interview. So if I am guiding somebody tomorrow who wants to take an open book NEBOSH IGC, I also need to guide him that, okay, you should also get prepared for an interview that will come before you. Then if you know somebody is going to help you, it is good you study or you stay by the side of the person who is writing for you, then you should also digest what the person is writing. So these are information that goes a long way to strengthen our professionals as we go a long way to even help individual in different way. Some of us, I can remember while I was in Ayonda in Iraq, my manager does not have NEBOSH. It was my trainer who was writing the NEBOSH for him. So I don't know how he would defend it, because that my manager, I've heard him on the phone one day recommending weathers to use rubber glove. So that day I was like, how can the manager recommend the weathers to use rubber glove? Or this man does not know what he's saying. So these are the implications sometimes when you have some certification that you don't have the capacity to defend them. So the presentation for me, I have learned, if not quite a lot from it, but I've learned something that will strengthen me to guide persons when they want to go into NEBOSH OBJ. So thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Francis, for that wonderful contribution. On this platform, we don't encourage people to write for others, and we don't encourage people to let others write for them. So we are here to ensure that you know that you can do it yourself. It's very, very easy. The person that is writing for you, he doesn't have two heads. You have one head. What you need to do is to sit down and study. Sit down and study, attend the classes, and follow this simple guideline we have given to you today. You will pass it, believe in me. Read the scenario, read it again and again. Read the scenario again and again. All the answers you are looking for. If you have, like we said, print it out, go to question, let's say question number 2. In some questions, they will say from scenario only. That simply means even if you are going to internet, you are just wasting your time. Whatever answer you are looking for is inside that scenario. When they say from scenario only, you just go to the paragraph where it is, underline it, then go to your answer sheet, type it down. If you can copy from, if you open the PDF, you can copy it, go there and type, paste it down, and add some things, add some personalized words, and you are good to go. Okay, you can pass the NEBOSH, and it's very easy. Just to boost your morale, tell yourself you can do it, and prepare. Make sure you prepare. Don't just go into registering the NEBOSH without attending classes and without reading. You will end up wasting your money also. All right.
Yeah, correct. That's the very valued one. I was telling a colleague of mine, I think he's here right now, Samuel. I told him when he said he wants to do NVQ level 6. Just last week we had an internal ISO 45 audit. So I remember they discovered that we have not communicated to the workers the responsibility of safety responsibility to all workforce, but we have done that on the level of management. So I remember one of our colleagues wanted to argue with the auditor. I said, no need to argue. That is our responsibility to enforce and ensure management communicate a responsibility, safety responsibility to all workforce. And I told Samuel, I said, if you did MVQ, you will see an assignment on this. He said, yes. Really? I said, yes. When you are starting now, you will see it. So any knowledge share here, I tell you, it goes a long way to strengthen our profession individually. Depends on how you see it, because this profession is very wide. It's very wide to the point that sometimes you get confused. But when you go to research and ask your colleagues, how do you understand this? You get more better clearance to do your job every day by day.
That's true. Thank you very much for that. Okay, the floor is open to attend to one or two more contributions before we call it a day. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, just to re-emphasize what Aaron, Mr. Aaron Francis have just said. Yeah, this this our profession is more of a life thing. Your interest matters a lot, whether you want to take the NVQ, you want to take the NEBOSH open book, or at any professional level. You must put yourself in the whole process. For example, this open book, see it as a mirror in front of you. You see it as a mirror in front of you. It is like a case study. These questions are like case studies that is put in front of you. So your judgment should be based on what you are seeing, what you have. And you have to also don't over-relax, like it's easy for me to pass. That is where study comes in. When you read wide and study wide, for instance, when you talk about incident investigation, and the scenario is telling you about incident investigation, you already know the whole process about incident investigation. But the mistake many people will make is that they will just write whatever they know about incident investigation. You will miss it. So you must look at what is practically in front of you. What are the series of events that happened and what led to what? But these are the points you have to draft at. But if you generalize, even you know everything about this incident investigation, you are going to miss it. So it is, I have the opportunity to read through most of the questions. It's very good. I hear people say that it's very easy to pass now. Trust me, it's not easy to pass. If you don't study it, if you don't put yourself into it, don't think it's giveaway. And I want to encourage anybody that wants to write this NEBOSH open book. It's a very good way for you to learn. It's very practical. So put yourself into it. See it like, okay, this is a mirror. This is a life situation. So with there, you'll be able to extract the point you want to extract, and you're good to go. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you very much. All right. If there is no further comment or questions, we'll call it a day so that we don't need to keep everybody here. So I want to thank you all for attending today. And the knowledge we've shared here today, let's extend it to others, especially the young ones that are still coming up in the profession. They need to be properly guided, because whatever we do, it affects other people as well. It's not just about us. We are there to keep people safe. And if people are not safe, then they will get harmed and their family will also get affected. So that is why our profession is very, very crucial. So we are not just taking care of ourselves, we are taking care of others. And those people we are taking care of have families and people that are also taken care of. So that is why we'll just have to be enlightened, try to refresh our memory, read a lot, attend the workshops like this, and contribute where possible. Ask questions, ask real life questions, and you get clarifications. It's very important so that we'll have a accident-free work. All right, so thank you very much for attending.
Thank you very much for your impressive training, and it is really very effective. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sami. We appreciate you for coming as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you in the Arab money.
No, be small.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. It is a very wonderful session, and I got lot of knowledge regarding how to solve out the NEBOSH open book situation. Already I did it, but really it is amazing information. You share it with us, and I cascade this one to my other colleagues who is going to enroll in the examination. Thanks for your wonderful section. Thank you, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed. Have a nice day.
Yeah, Zubey, thank you. Well done. Yeah.
Most
Mr.
welcome, sir.
Francis, we'll chat
Yeah.
off here. I will send you a message. Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. It's an amusing topic, and it's really, it's quite understandable. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kenneth. We appreciate your time. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.